Hello everyone and welcome back to the Tales of Octavia YouTube channel. My name is Francis and I am your Dungeon Master for today's video. And today I'm going to be designing two different unique encounters that you could use for your campaign. Both of these encounters have a mix of social and combat elements, so feel free to tweak the encounters that I describe in any way that you wish. And let's jump right into it, shall we? Also, by the way, I would love to see what you guys do, so feel free to tell me how you're going to change it in the comments down below or tweet them at me. I would love to see how creative people can be like this, and I think it would be pretty cool. These side encounters are made for a 5-person level 4 party, and they all take place in the Kingdom of Sophaphum, which is a valley region between two mountains. And funnily enough, it is also secretly a safe haven for some of the more peaceful monster races of the Underdark. I'd reveal more, but my players may or may not be watching this, so yeah. Just for the record, I stream that game every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Links down below. But my point is, that will be our setting. So the first encounter takes place when the party is shopping. As you peruse the wares of the Maker's Market, there is a beautiful sword standing on one of the stands towards the back. A two-handed greatsword with a silver crossguard and runic engravings around the pommel. You pick up the sword, and it's surprisingly heavier than a regular two-handed greatsword. You take a look at the runes and recognize that it is Orcish. In this scenario, the seller actually doesn't know Orcish, and he could play it off as something like legend or chosen or worthy. If the player could decipher it, whether or not they know Orcish, the word actually says solstice. And from a mechanic standpoint, this two-handed greatsword delivers additional cold damage upon attuning to it. Be sure to mention that as the wielder carries the sword, they feel some sort of presence calling out to it, as if there's some sort of unlocked potential that they have yet to unlock. Once you mention this, the player might get super excited and be willing to buy it in a heartbeat, especially if it's an affordable price. Then, when the player is resting for the night, or they complete an additional activity throughout the city, they are visited by Groob the Grave. Groob the Grave is an orc from the Monster Haven, and someone stole his sword. So he searched for it, sees the party member handling it, and he goes up to them and says, "That is my sword. Give it back to me or die." At this point, initiative begins. If you need some stat blocks or stats for Groob, I'd recommend using the Orc of Blade of Ilnaval from the Volo's Guide. Maybe some sort of modification to make things easier make things a little bit more difficult. Maybe the character that has it has a low passive perception and they didn't see Groob actually lock the door to prevent anybody from entering the room. Maybe there's a silence spell that is currently happening. That's why the player can't scream or shout to the other party members. In the end, somehow it becomes evident that this is, in fact, Groob's sword. It turns out that the trader who sold the sword is actually a master thief. He stole it from Groob's home in the Monster District, and he believes that by selling this in the surface, he can make tons of money at nobody's expense. Because in this world, there is a growing conflict, but there is a hidden growing conflict between the surface folk and the folks that live in the Underdark. Maybe Groob is a retired adventurer who, old as he is for an orc, he was originally exiled from his tribe, so he lives among the city folk. Maybe that He was a devout follower of Ilnaval. That's why this blade is so important for him, because it is his birthright. It is his bond to his deity. The second encounter is a classic that involves puzzles, social encounters, and maybe a hint of combat. As you eat your meal in the tavern, a woman with red hair and noble robes rushes into the tavern and looks around frantically. As you lock eyes, she immediately approaches you. Excuse me, are you with the Golden Seekers? My name is Clarissa, and I need your help. Now, for the record, Golden Seekers is my party's group name, and she recognizes the party based off of being an acquaintance with one of the party's acquaintances that they themselves actually helped in this city previously. She explains to the party that she believes that her house is haunted, she needs someone to investigate, and the guards aren't listening to her, and the party pays the party a good chunk of money to get rid of the spirit. As the party explores the interior of the estate, they realize that they're a little bit pressured. You see, as they explore and learn more about the family, the house is actually actively trying to kill them. There's chairs that are being thrown at them. There's burning wood from a fireplace just lunges and tosses itself against one of the unsuspecting party members. Maybe there's cutlery and kitchen knives that come out of the kitchen and stab the party. And from all of these nonsensical points of damage, they realize that they are going on a time limit. And if they don't actually solve this problem quickly enough, they might actually just take damage and get killed for no apparent reason. After the group investigates, they learn more about Clarissa's family and discover that the spirit of her great-grandfather is currently trapped inside of the mansion. It appears from looking around, they discover that there are all of these seals, these wards or sigils that have essentially trapped a spirit here and causing the spirit to go mad. At some point, the party has to make a choice. They either kill the spirit or they free the spirit. If the party were able to destroy all of the sigils, the spirit has been saved. Otherwise, I recommend using the ghost stat block for your combat scenario. After the combat, it becomes clear that these sigils were actually deliberately placed. And after either freeing the spirit or killing the spirit, they return to Clarissa, who explains to them that the only people that it could have been were a cleaning company that she hired called The Better Sweep, a popular business establishment among the noble houses. And from here, the party can essentially go wherever they want to go. They want to investigate the company. They realize that this company doesn't actually exist. They are a company that reaches out to the noblemen so that they can actually set wards and drive out the surface folk and the noblemen from the general area. So those are two encounters, completely different, that I designed hopefully for you to modify and use in any way you wish. If you want more content like this, feel free to leave me a like. I'd love to see, tweet me what your encounters are. I would love to hear them. And as always, I hope to see you next week with a brand new video. So, bye guys.
Damage.
Gotcha. Whack, whack. You managed to slice some of the vines that are coming out from this long, elongated mouth of wood